All right, welcome back. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you can keep coming back over and over to hang with us and our fantastic creative artists and the guests in the arts and entertainment world. I'm Allison Ingraham, and we are at the Art Walk hosted by Think Local Little Falls in Little Falls, New York. And we are hanging with artist Yulia Levkovich. Right? Levkovich. So tell us about your artwork.
Well, originally I got educated by classical realist artists. I come from a family of classical musicians, and I kind of deviated from that, but not too far. I ended up taking the painting route, and I got educated for my Bachelor's of Arts in Toronto at OCAD University. And then I moved to Manhattan in 2008 to get my master's degree and lived in New York for 10 years. Like any other artist, after, well, not any other artist, but like a lot of them, I ended up supporting myself through working in restaurants. And eventually, after years of doing that, got into management and decided to change my lifestyle, moved to a small town. For the first time in my life, got my driver's license here at 32 or 30. Got into a bunch of accidents, but eventually adapted. So that's how I ended up here.
Okay. So how do you reflect your personality in your artwork?
Probably, I don't think about reflecting my personality, but trying to be as genuine as possible. So a lot of my exploration in my artwork started out with experimentation, things that excited me before I intellectually understood why they're exciting to me. And then eventually, that was, I believe, probably a genuine approach to making art, and eventually picking it apart and looking back at years of that approach made me reflect on it and make sense of what it is and what it symbolizes. So I guess I would describe my work as symbolic. So yeah, I guess my personality would be that excitement that I find in certain objects.
Okay. Are there any particular artists that influenced you getting into art?
Yeah, a lot of musicians like Alfred Schnittke, my dad, Alexander Levkovich, definitely influenced me, and I had no choice. So surprisingly, it was more musicians that influenced my work, but in terms of visual artists, I don't know, I guess like with anything, there's a discourse that you might not be exactly conscious of that's happening, but it would probably be a combination that I couldn't go into right now.
What do you think are the most inspiring things to help you be creative in your artwork?
Connection with people, because I think art making is about that desire to connect. So when you have that interaction with somebody, then I think it just flows in your work.
When did you begin your art career? When you were younger? Like,
what would you describe as career?
Because do you do your art as a career, or do you do it as a pastime, or both?
I guess the most honest answer would be it was always the goal, I got my education, and even though I continued making art, I put it on hold. So I always had that when somebody asked me what I did, and I tried to be genuine, even though I didn't want to say it, I was like, well, I work in restaurants, because that was taking most of my time. So when I dedicated myself more so to art was probably when I moved here. So I'd say 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, it's beautiful. We were looking at your art piece, and it is beautiful. What kinds of tools do you like to use? Do you like to use oils, paints, acrylics?
I use oils mostly. I teach in oils. I also use charcoal, carbon pencil.
Nice. Can you describe the first time that you realized that creating was something that you wanted to do for your life career?
Yeah. It wasn't a choice. It was, as I said earlier, my parents were classical musicians, Russian, Ukrainian heritage. So they gave me that typical upbringing where I danced, ballet, I played the piano, and I did painting. And it was all extracurricular activities. It wasn't just doing it at school. It was also like taking private classes from a very young age. And that was typical for the upbringing at that time. So my Russian art teacher at 13 sat down and he said, "You're 13. This is time to make a decision. What are you? Like, you're doing too many things." And this was my Russian art teacher. So of course I said, "Oh, I'm an artist." So it wasn't a choice.
Oh my goodness. Oh, geez. Do you have any creative rituals that you do before you paint, or?
Alone time.
Alone time?
Yeah. And that's usually in Flux. So I have the spectacular studio in Little Falls that this wonderful couple donated, or rented to me, but pretty much donated. And I was there for a while. I had to move to Utica, so I can't make it there as much, so I don't have as much alone time. But anytime I get myself in an environment where I get to escape for a moment and reflect on everything, all the connections, yeah, that's my ritual.
Do you have a favorite thing that you've created so far?
Favorite thing?
A favorite thing, a favorite painting, a favorite artwork that you've done?
Sure. I just finished a commission that I worked on for a while, and right after I finished it, I felt like doing something that I could never show anybody, something really honest and personal, and that's probably my favorite.
Can people find you and your art?
Definitely, yeah. I do have a website. It's yulialevkovich.com. And I teach at Munson-Williams, teach pre-college at Pratt, so you can definitely, if you look on their website and search my name, there are a couple of classes I'm teaching in the summer, in the fall, and yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a blast. We've had so much fun hanging with Yulia. I'm Allison Ingraham, but before we go, we would like to thank our partners at Famous Faces and Funnies, Space Coast Comics, the Florida Book News, Wordfire Press, and our great friends at Some Unique Magazine. These are the folks that share our videos all over the World Wide Web, and we hope that you do too. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think of today's show and our guests. You can also check our guest links below. Remember to subscribe, log in, and stay tuned to see who we're hanging with next. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic...